Sarah and Max, an unlikely pair in this wild podcast, they're the perfect flair. Sarah's charm, so feminine and free, a Cali girl spirit under the podcast tree. Max a strong force with a punch in every word. Together they navigate this dating absurd. Don't forget to hit subscribe, join the crew for more laughs and tales just for you. Now back to the show.
Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of GoodForShidduchim. I'm your host, Sarah Levine. I'm with my co-host, Max Landisman. And today we're going to be talking about single events and Shidduchim, yes.
Correct.
But we're going to be talking about single events. Before we get to today's episode, I did just want to go over some housekeeping. We did get some criticism, I guess I would say.
Ooh, the criticism.
Yeah.
Love it.
About the podcast. A lot of people have been calling you cynical. And I would say if you're not interested in listening to Max being a little cynical, yeah.
Okay.
Or if you find the podcast offensive, you do not have to listen. There are other podcasts out there.
100%.
And the whole point of the podcast is for us to be unapologetically ourselves and to create a safe space. And if people are telling us what to say and what to do, that kind of defeats the purpose of this podcast.
Oh, so this is kind of the first time I'm hearing about this. Please tell me more. Yeah.
that's
First of all, I
basically
think it's a great accomplishment because if you're not pissing somebody off, you're not doing anything.
Well, I don't think we got them upset. I think it was just more like a feedback, but I guess that's our first feedback. So that's great.
Yeah, no, love it. Here's my message to them. Tune off. You don't have to listen to it.
That's what I'm saying. You don't have to listen to the podcast. And if you want
100%.
something that's a little more positive and a little pep in your step, that
a little bit more
may not
bullcrap
be
that you want to be fed to your entire life, then don't listen. There's my cynicism. Is that a word? Cynicism?
There you go.
Look at that.
But what we do want to hear from our viewers is we want questions emailed to us. We want ideas emailed to us. That would be great. And if you want a question answered on the podcast, we're more than happy to do that. You can tell us your criticism. That's great. We're open to anything, I guess.
Yeah.
But to those that are calling Max cynical, it's 100% true. But also, we're not going to apologize.
It's true that I'm cynical.
Yeah.
I hear. Okay.
But that's our podcast, so
yeah, it is what
listen
it is. How do you
or
define
don't.
cynical?
I think they were saying in some of the episodes, well, that was the thing. Remember, I asked them, I was like, can you give specifics?
Right,
And they really
okay.
couldn't. So I didn't know if it was
specifics?
I didn't know if it was
an
over, the whole entire episode. They felt you were cynical, or I don't know. It could have just been your attitude towards
I love people.
Shut him, which you hate. So
There's a reason for it. But you know what? As cynical as I may or may not come across, the way that they come across in closed door environment with people, nobody talks about, and it's a lot worse. The result is a lot worse than just words. There are people with eating disorders now because Shad Khadim say, unless you're a size 0, you're never going to get married. So to someone who really wants to get married, they're afraid to eat now or whatever. I've heard of cases where to the worst extent, somebody died from it. God forbid this should ever happen. But to say it hasn't happened, it's definitely happened.
Right.
And so by calling me cynical, you can call me anything you want. It's fine. But there's a lot worse going on in the world. So if you're offended by my words, then whatever. What's my famous line?
You say it.
Go screw yourself.
Go screw yourself.
There it is.
Okay.
I try to get Sarah to say it.
So that was just one thought for the day, I guess.
I love it. It's
also, please follow us on Instagram for those who do want to listen to our cynicism. We have an Instagram page. It's at GoodForShidduchim. We have 35 followers.
Yeah.
So that's great. We love our followers. And also, please email us at GoodForShidduchim@gmail.com. Shidduchim is SHIDDUCHIM.
Good job.
I think that through.
Why don't we get into it?
Okay, so let's just get into it. Today I wanted to talk about shidduch events. So single events. that are run just for singles. Some of them are actually really good, I think, and some of them are just absolutely horrendous. So we're going to discuss our thoughts on single events, and then we're going to bring on somebody to talk about a couple pointers and a couple
And I'm looking forward to this
ideas.
guest tremendously. I think as well as you do.
It was really hard to come by.
Yeah, it's very hard to come by. I think he's been on every episode so far.
He also cost a lot of money.
Right. His squeaky chair has probably been in the background of every episode.
Yes.
And I hear he's actually very, very excited to come on as well.
I don't know if he's excited.
He said he was excited, so I'm going to take it. Yeah. My business partner and twin brother and your husband, Shlomi Landisman.
Yeah. But our thoughts, I thought we talk about our thoughts first. So I did want to just talk about my thoughts on single events, and I will just say I am terrible at them.
Okay.
There was one event that would always pop up. I think it was every year. I don't know if they do it now. It was a Why You Connects event.
Well, you know.
And it was gambling. It was like the gambling one.
Oh, this is the famous story.
Right.
Guys,
I forgot I told you.
buckle your seatbelts. This is the greatest story ever when it comes to this.
This was me in a nutshell, though. I obviously went with my girlfriends because everybody, all the girls got to go together. So you go with your girlfriends.
I go with my girlfriends too.
Yeah, so you got to.
Jokes. That's a joke. All the cynical people, But yeah.
And all my friends were talking to guys and able to kind of break away from each other and talk to guys. What did I do? I went to the craps table and I just played the whole night. And there was a guy who wanted to, I guess, flirt with me and was like, oh, hey, do you know how to play this game? And I was like, can you go away? Because I'm just really trying to win here.
Like it's not a singles event or anything.
No. I had a really, really awesome time. I met absolutely nobody.
Shocker.
All of my girlfriends, I think, had a couple dates come out of it.
Nice.
But there was me just like, guys, I won like YU bucks or something. I won like $400 worth of nothing.
Wow. Yeah. You didn't even get a free month subscription
Nothing.
to Why Connect.
Nothing. They were like, Sarah, what? Like they were trying really hard. They were like, oh, meet this guy. Like, let me introduce you to this guy. And my social anxiety is so bad in all of these like types of events. I kind of just shut down and I'm just like, okay, I'll just do what like is the most like distance thing, and that's what it was. But I had a fabulous time, I will say. It
sounds like a great event. I'm like, where is this event? Like, Why Connects is a good event?
It was actually a very good event.
That
I will
sounds
say
amazing.
there was a
Probably it's not cheap either. Like to run these things.
No, it wasn't cheap, and you had a max of 2 drinks, and it was a casino night, and there was food, drinks, lots of like casino tables. And there were a lot of people. I would say maybe a little over 100. Like there was a lot of people there.
Solid. Like I know we tried doing this for the shul. Like when these casino nights, they cost like $3,000.
Yeah, I mean you did have to pay. It was subsidized though.
By who?
I'm not sure.
They probably got a sponsor or something.
Yeah, I think they got like a couple sponsors. But it was like my friends had a good time. I had my own good time.
Yeah.
But that's kind of been my MO. Like at these things, I kind of just like, I had really bad social anxiety and I kind of didn't know what to do. So I kind of just like did my own thing at these events. But I will say going with a wingman or wingwoman was actually it helped a little bit.
Yeah.
Were they good? Were they bad? Am I for them? I definitely feel like there should be like a max on drinks because people were getting like sloppy drunk.
Really?
Like at some of these. Yeah.
Did you say there was a 2-drink maximum?
Well, that was at the YU Connects event, but other single events that I've gone to that are like either sponsored with an open bar or you can basically rig the system by like getting somebody else's ticket. If you're like 2-drink max,
right.
but then like you can get somebody else's ticket.
Yeah.
They were kind of like sloppy drunk a little bit.
Slip a guy 20 or
yeah.
whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel like there has to be a good balance of like having some alcohol because you do need to have like people loosen up a little bit, but you also have to have like a good. I feel like some of these events they don't have like a good.
Know why you're there in a way.
What?
It's like know why you're there. You're not there to get drunk, but you're
exactly.
there to meet
It's like
people.
if you want to like have a drink and loosen up and like socialize, that's great, but like don't get sloppy.
Right.
But I will say some events are kind of just like plateaued. I guess
what do you mean?
like
Like it just, this is it?
yeah, you
Yeah.
just kind of walk in
That's
and
the
you're
worst.
like, oh my God, this is going to go so bad. Either because they don't have any type of entertainment or because
No facilitation.
right, or the space is so big and there's like 10 people.
Right.
So I feel like when you're planning a single event, you just have to be strategic in terms of like what the venue is and how many people are going to be there, because that will really help create the type of space you need and also provide entertainment. There has to be a structure to the night. It can't just be like, okay, singles mingle. It has to have like some type of structure.
Yeah. Well, what do you think about like speed dating? Because the actual event is the speed dating. It's not like there's activity planned. That is the activity.
Right.
So what would you say about that?
I never did speed dating, so I really have no opinion on it. From what I've heard, mixed reviews, good and bad. I feel like though when you go to a speed dating event, it's kind of straightforward. Like that's what you expect. You expect like a speed dating, and I think it's kind of like you do the speed dating, you find out who's interested, and like that's it. And I think that's okay. I don't think there has to be like a whole like thing around the speed dating, because like you said, it's like part of that is the event, is the speed dating, and I think that's okay.
So I'll tell you what I felt. I've been to a number of these different things. The best speed dating event I've ever gone to was actually not in person, was actually over Zoom. That was the best one I've gone to.
Oh wow.
The one I went to in person, I actually went with Shlomi. It was not good at all, and the reason I say that is because a typical speed dating event, usually it's one-on-one. So you'll get like however many minutes is allotted to each person, and then you meet each person individually. You get to have a conversation, which I think is great, because also if you like them, you can inquire about them after. If you don't like them, you just move on. In this case, it was outside, so it was much noisier. It was 3 to 3. So like literally 3 girls at a table and then 3 guys at a table. You don't even know who the guys you're with. And it could be that if you're sitting on the edge to the right and the girl you want to talk to is on the left, it's very difficult to even reach her. It completely defeats the purpose of even getting a chance to talk at all. And it was just, everyone was like, if one guy was talking, luckily I was able to kind of form my own conversation and whatever. But like, unless you're a talk show host or whatever, you can't, it's impossible to start a conversation. So I thought that was terrible. But the one I did on Zoom was phenomenal.
Did you get to like meet with all the girls?
I met with, you meet with every single girl individually.
Yeah.
I think they give you like 5 minutes. 5 minutes is solid. It's not like such a short amount of time, but it's good. It's
Yeah.
good amount. And that was actually the time where, the second you get on like one of these, like introduce yourself, hi, my name is whatever.
Yeah.
That's when the girl, before doing anything, she's like, what's your job title? Tell me now. So my response was, why don't you just ask me how rich I am? So that's when I was, what was the word, cynical? If this is all part of it, where I was so offended by that, I made her feel as uncomfortable as humanly possible by just sitting there and I didn't say a word.
Oh my God.
I let her do it. You have so many questions. You have a resume that you want to review.
Yeah.
You have my profile. Why don't you pull up my LinkedIn?
Oh my God.
I was livid. It's so insulting. You can't even ask me my name.
So this happened on the virtual one?
It's on the virtual one, yeah.
Do they know do they know your name though?
No.
Oh,
how are they going to know my name?
I don't
It's not
know.
even written in the little corner or whatever. It's just you meet people for the first time. It's like an automatic thing. They send you into like this virtual room, and it's just you. Usually you'll ask each other your name, and take it from there. The very basic thing is, what's your name?
Yeah.
What's your job title?
What's your job title?
Oh my Lord.
I honestly would be so confused. I wouldn't know how to answer that.
I don't
are you asking me like for my credentials? Are you asking me for my profession?
You want to know what something's crazy? There were people, especially women, who I asked their opinion. I'm like, why would somebody ask me that? And they were saying like, maybe she was nervous or maybe she was whatever. I'm like, that's not an excuse. Yeah. I'm nervous.
I'm nervous as about the job title.
Right. So that's the first question. That means like that's the number one. You know,
I would just say I'm really nervous.
that's a very big turn on, actually. It's like, I'm very nervous. Like, one thing that I use to my advantage is if I feel nervous, because I do sometimes, is if I'm feeling nervous, the chances are she's also feeling nervous.
Of course, you're both feeling nervous.
Right. But usually when someone feels nervous, they usually feel like the world's coming down on them. It's only them, like the other side is okay.
Yeah.
That's not the case. But but overall, I really enjoyed that event minus her.
Gotcha. What do you think would help maybe enhance kind of the dud events?
I think people put too much emphasis on the bullcrap, which means people want fancy events and people want all sorts of elaborate food and this. Get rid of it. Nobody cares. Nobody's there to eat. I remember I was at this July 4th barbecue. It's the singles event I go every year. I love it.
Yeah.
And towards the end, I was just standing next to the food, whatever. And some guy comes up to me and he's like, "You believe that like the food is not that great?" I'm like, "You're somebody like myself who loves to eat." I'm like, "Are you a dumb bleep? Whatever it is." I'm like, "You're here to come for a chicken sandwich? Like, I don't care."
Right. Like,
You know, you're not there for the food. You're there to like meet people and mingle. Why are you talking to me? I think there's too much emphasis. Like, there was an event someone wanted to put, which is totally fine. Like, she wanted to make it very, I would say, more expensive. She wanted to kind of weed out guys who weren't quote unquote established. And so for our listeners who don't know what the word established means, it means that you're rich. That's basically what they mean.
She wanted to like kind of up the price, so people who can only really afford it go to it.
I get it, but even the emphasis of like even like the quote unquote cheaper events, it's like $20-$30.
Yeah.
You're not even, number one, getting anything really. What are you doing? It's like just go hang. There's no like hangout. Everything has to be like an event. They have to make it so elaborate.
Right.
Make it more of a hangout type of.
Maybe more relaxed.
Make it more relaxed. I think if you do it more, like when they say like we can't do events so often because there's just not enough people out there. If you establish it more as a hangout, like is there like this one place where people can just come and hang out? I think it would be a lot better.
So something less formal.
It's a lot less formal.
What about like a structure to it though? Does it need a structure?
I mean, if you're running an event, I agree that it should have some sort of structure. Yeah. But again, like, you know, sometimes they're running a singles event, so they'll have a bar, they'll have cocktails, whatever it is, and then people just mingle. Right. That's fine. That's fine. I'm not against it. You know,
I'm also not against it, but there has to be some facilitation, I guess, like between, like just amongst the people to let them know like what's going to be the flow for the night.
Yeah. Like as far as like, what do I think the most efficient and best way to do it would be those virtual, like one-on-one speed dating events.
Oh, so you're going back to virtual.
Like if I'm going to pick the best thing to do, I think that actually is the best thing to do.
Oh, interesting.
I think people are more comfortable in general, except that crazy lady, whatever. But also, it's pure business. You're there for a reason. Right. And you actually get to talk on an intimate level between one and one. Right. One-on-one person, meaning when you're talking to them, no one else is hearing. In real life, like you have people sitting next to you and all around.
It's not so private.
You hear everyone's other conversation. Yeah. And you could be jealous sometimes. Maybe your conversation sucks and you're thinking, and then you're also potentially pressured because you physically see like someone's going to take your spot right afterwards. Like let's say you talk to a girl, you're really interested in this girl. Yeah. And then you'll move over a spot. Then the guy behind you is what appears to be hitting it off way better. Then you're going to get like, what the hell? Right. So like, I think as far as the best, what you call it has nothing to do with money, but bang for your buck. I'm a big fan of these virtual online things. I've only done it once though, but I don't really hear of them often, but I think it's the best.
I think for me, I've never done the virtual ones, but I do like the ones that have like that like entertainment, like an entertainment, because then you can talk about the entertainment after, during, before.
I don't think I've ever really seen, like, you give me an example?
Like a comedian, like a comedy night. Yeah. Like they'll have a singles comedy night. Okay. Or they'll have.
Well, I've never been to one of those. What is that actually? Like you have a
bar.
There's a time to kind of mingle before and after.
Yeah. There'll be like usually either you have to pay for your drinks or it's an open bar depending on like how much you pay to get into the single event. And then they'll have like a comedian or some other type of entertainment, like even like not a magician. Which one did I go to? Oh, it was oh my God, somebody who, what's that word?
Ventriloquist.
No.
I don't know.
He oh my God.
If you use words, like, what does he do? You can picture this?
Hypnotist. Hypnotist.
Oh,
something
one of these guys?
like that.
I don't believe in that stuff. I don't know.
I'm just saying, even if you believe in it or whatever, it doesn't matter, because like after you can still you can mingle with people and you could talk about how much you hated it or whatever. I don't know. I feel like there's like at least something. There's like one time when I went to a single event and they just had like games. There was like
board games?
No, it was like air hockey and like beanbag toss. And I was like, oh, as soon as I walked in, I was like, this is so awkward.
Yeah, definitely.
I was like, this is really weird.
Right.
The vibes were just so odd.
The girls are probably just like kind of crunched together, like what the hell's going on?
Exactly.
And there's always like the overzealous guy that's like taking it too serious.
Exactly. It's like, what? So a guy's gonna come up to you and be like, can you play air hockey with me? like
we're 12.
Like I didn't know how to take that one. That one I walked in and kind of walked out.
Yeah. But this is kind of what I mean by how to get the most bang for your buck, not waste a lot of time, and be very, very intentional about everything.
Yeah.
Everyone knows why we're here, right?
Right.
At least I would think people
For
go to
the
singles
drinks.
events, right? You told me to tone down the whole make fun of the place that we all know of that I make fun of.
Yeah.
But for everyone else who actually is looking to get married, when you're at these events, what's happening? I think the best way to describe it is, when you said you had social anxiety, whatever you had, I had 100 times worse. I couldn't even have a conversation more than like 10 seconds, which is incredible because I'm like a talk show host now. I know. So I got help for it. I went to my older brother, who's the king of social. Like, this guy can run for mayor.
Excuse me, he's your younger brother.
No, my older brother.
Oh, Mordechai?
Shlomi, I did not get this from Shlomi.
Oh, it was Mordechai?
This is from Mordechai. Shlomi learned from me.
I am shook.
Shlomi learned from me. Whatever. It passed down from generation to generation. But so Mordechai, I spoke to him for a half hour. And so he told me, he's like, when you have a conversation, don't have a conversation about stuff. Like, hey, how are the Jets doing? How are the Dolphins doing? Nobody, like, even if you care, nobody cares.
Right.
That doesn't make someone remember you ever.
Right.
Talk about stuff of quote unquote substance. So if I'm talking to you, I'll be like, everything has to do about the person you're talking to. So how are you doing?
Right.
Good. Where did you grow up?
Right.
I grew up here. How was your experience growing up there? And you're asking them questions, and everything has to do with them. And nobody likes talking about anything more than themselves. I don't care how humble you are. You love to talk about yourself. And having the conversation like that, number one, people remember you. Number two, you feel like on a much deeper level conversation, because if you're talking about just vanities and just how are the Jets, I'm telling you, the second you leave, they're going to forget you.
Right. That sounds really great. That sounds like really good advice from Mordechai. I guess a lot of people will, I feel like I am one of those people that had a really not a hard time, but like my anxiety would just get the best of me and I would kind of just like leave. And all my friends would be like, Sarah, don't go, like just stay. And I'm just like so uncomfortable in these situations.
Right.
Did I think that it was going to be like detrimental? Do I think that I was like missing out on finding my husband when I left? No, I didn't. But I did feel it was just like a missed opportunity to like at least meet new people and just have a nice time.
Right.
But I feel like people do put a lot of pressure on themselves in these environments.
Yeah.
And I think I do think it's normal. It's just the situation to be in is just very it's very anxiety provoking. Especially I know like if a shadchan's there and they're only speaking to certain people, you're like, why aren't they speaking to me? Like, why aren't they approaching me? They're only approaching certain other people. That's happened to me also. With specific shadchans at shadchan events. They'll have like a couple shadchans that are walking around and you'll go up to them and you'll introduce yourself and like that's kind of it. And you're like, how are you going to remember me? Like, what's the point of this? But you see them like talking to other people. So
So in your current state, when you felt like, very anxious about this and had a hard time talking to others, Do you feel that if you would have done, let's say, a virtual speed dating event, would that have helped? Would that have been better because you're kind of there?
I mean, I feel like I would have been more comfortable in my environment. I mean, I think so.
Yeah,
I would have been more comfortable and like it's like in the comfortability of your own home or in your own room, whereas in you would have to get dressed, like do your hair, do your makeup like really early, and like if the single event was in Brooklyn, you'd have to go to Brooklyn, you'd have to travel.
Right.
So no, I feel like it would have been good. To be honest, like I wasn't really dating during COVID because I was a nurse during COVID, so I really couldn't date. And I really didn't have any time. So I really didn't take advantage of the single events that were going on. And yeah, my Zoom dating was pretty, I didn't do it for so long.
Right. I mean, when you say Zoom dating, like speed dating or just in general?
No, just in general.
Right. Yeah. But like, I think that especially for people who aren't comfortable in live events and things of that nature, this is why I think these Zoom speed dating events, I'm not saying like it's the answer to everything.
Yeah.
But I think it's just easier meaning if I'm going to put that up against singles events, I think this actually is much better, even though it's not live, because number one, you're talking to everybody. As I mentioned before, it's more intimate. You're not looking over your shoulder at, why is that guy talking to the girl I like? It seems like their conversation's going a lot better than mine. So
right, you're constantly comparing yourself to the other people.
Exactly. And you're in the comfort of your own home, so people are going to feel a lot more comfortable in general.
Yeah.
And at live events, you don't necessarily talk to everybody. Even, like the greatest social beings on God's earth, they may not get a chance to talk to everybody or people that they want. Maybe there just wasn't an opportunity to go there. So that's why I think that's the better way to go.
Yeah, I definitely hear you. Anyways, so we wanted to have somebody who is kind of an expert and having a little bit of social anxiety. And also...
Thanks for the intro.
And also, well, you've been there, and so you can understand what people are going through. Someone also who...
Tore it up at singles events.
Yeah, who basically came from somebody who was really shy, not so outgoing, kind of in the corner type guy, and then you did a lot of work on yourself and you kind of killed it at these singles events. So some people may be thinking like, oh, why do you have Shlomi Landisman? Who is he? Well, he basically has been there, done that, and is now kind of an expert at it. Well, he's married now, so maybe not an expert at it.
Well, clearly it worked, so whatever.
Well,
But-
for the record, we did not meet at a singles event.
We did not meet at a singles event.
Like, I think there was some really good shotgun who set you up again.
Okay, Max. shout out to Max Landis.
Thank you, thank you.
Shout out to Zelly Sherman.
Oh, right. Sherman, she's gonna kill me.
Okay, fine.
But anyways, so
Still.
that's why we thought it would be important to bring Shlomi on, just because he has a lot of tips and a lot of ideas around kind of bringing yourself out of being a little anxious, not knowing exactly how to perform at these singles events, and he's been able to kind of branch out of his shell, and he'll walk us through like how that happened and give us some tips to somebody who's really anxious or somebody who doesn't really know how to navigate the single scene in general,
Like the
single events, I should say,
Like
in general.
I've seen him with my own two eyes. The man crushes rooms. The man literally can. I was at an event, I don't know, let's say there were 20 girls there. I think 15 of them wanted to go out with Shlomi.
Oh, nice.
Whatever it is.
You know what's ironic? I never saw him in these like
Shlomi just like
events,
knows. He also like knows how to like pinpoint his target and somehow gets there indirectly. Like he'll explain all that.
Yeah, so
but,
hopefully he explains all of his.
He's a lot better than I am. I like to think I'm very good socially, but I don't. There's like this element of I don't give a crap what people think.
Right.
It's like when there was a girl complaining to another girl, was like, why can't guys come up to me and ask me? I'm like, I overheard it, so I'm like, yeah, let's go out. Let's all go out at the same time, actually.
Yeah.
Save me a fortune. Whatever. But anyways, let's get to our guests.
Oh my God, 2 girls at once, Max. I don't think anybody.
2 girls? There were like 6 girls there.
Oh my God. Can you imagine? That's a lot of work.
And guess what? They said no, shidduch crisis. That's why, because they're not, they're all talk and no action. They complain that no guys come up to them and ask them out. So I'm like, yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
So
well,
what's the
maybe
problem?
not 6 girls at once, but I think Shlomi will be able to allow people.
On a serious note, yeah, he's
Yes.
really good at this.
Listen, it also helps going to these events with Max as your twin brother. So talk about a tag team.
Yeah, because they look at me. Yeah, okay. All right, fine. Touche.
But anyways, welcome, Shlomi Landisman.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I'm very excited to be here.
Yeah, you were very difficult to get in touch with.
Very difficult.
So we
Makes sense.
appreciate you taking the time out of your busy day to get here.
Yes.
right.
And for the record, for basically almost every episode, I'm somewhere in the background. You can hear my chair
Squeaky chair.
squeaking.
Yeah.
And your
Working in the
clicks.
background.
And your clicks.
So it's
That's
a little
right.
different actually being in the front. So
How
Yeah.
does it feel?
feels great. I love this
Good.
mic. Guys, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you great.
Okay, so thank you though for coming to the podcast, and we are excited to hear about what you have to say and some tips for people who are having a little bit of issues with
Shidduchim.
single events and trying to get out there. Max and I agree that it's a little difficult to navigate. So how did you kind of break out of the shell? Like, you were a little bit of you were kind of a guy who was very introverted to himself, very quiet. And then from what I hear and from what you told me, you were able to succeed at these singles events. So just tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so the entire process took a lot of time.
Mm-hmm.
And I was never like going to these events with the mindset of, oh, I'm going there to find my match, or I'm going there to meet somebody and get somebody's number. Because I think a lot of people going to these events feel extremely frustrated because if they don't get digits, or if they don't find quote unquote their person, that they not only do they think that the event was a failure, they find themselves to be a failure. And every event that they go to just slaps them even more in the face. So I think just the mindset going in is remove the word singles and you're just going to an event. Is this something that I would have fun going to? Even if you go with your friend or, whatever you're doing, a lot of times there is an activity involved, axe throwing or pizza making or whatever it is. So would you go to that event at all, regardless if it was a single event or not? It just happens to be a benefit that you're single and they're single, so you can potentially find somebody, but that's not really the entire goal. It's really just getting out there and having a good time.
I never thought of it that way.
I think that's the biggest,
that's a good perspective to have, because some
I think
people put so much
single
pressure on
person that
themselves.
Especially women for sure. They go there with that intention, and then if it doesn't happen, or even I feel like even if you do get digits and it doesn't work out, they feel like it's a complete waste.
I don't know if it's all women, but I feel like men and women, generally speaking, they do have this perspective of, I'm going to go and I'm going to meet my match and that's it. And then you're right. Like, when they come out of it and they don't have any digits, or they don't have any person who said that they like them or anything like that, it really hurts your self-esteem.
Yeah, no, 100%. And besides, I know you mentioned the women, but just talking about the men, for example, I've run singles events. I organize them. And guys don't even like going to events at all. Besides, forget about when they're there, if they're anxious or not. They don't even like going there, because a lot of people that I've spoken to is that they feel that singles events are for people who can't get dates. So
Which
Is
makes
that
me
true?
makes me outrageous. It's 100% true.
It
pisses
just
me off.
Guys in general,
So
or
guys
women?
think that, no, guys feel that way.
I actually have proof. When I was, besides for everybody I've spoken to, they're like, why do I need to go to a singles event? I can just get dates on my own. So
It's unbelievable.
I told them, I think if your perspective is just about getting dates, then okay, but there are a lot of ancillary benefits of going to an event that could really help you, and I think you'd enjoy. For example, there's this really famous study that I came across, which said that they were basically studying what somebody is attracted to. What are people attracted to? So they would list their whole bullet point list, sound familiar, certain resumes, I'm looking for XYZ. And then what they did was they actually went to an event and they met a bunch of people that they normally wouldn't necessarily meet. And at the end of the whole event, there was some follow-up with these participants, and they asked them the same questions: what do you find attractive? And about 40% of them changed their answer. And the reason they changed their answer is because
They saw something.
when you go in thinking, oh, I'm going for this specific person, and if I don't find it, I'm going to feel like upset. But if you go in with more of an open mind, then great things happen, honestly, and that things change. So even for somebody who's like, oh, I get dates or whatever, like, honestly, just getting out there, meeting new people can really open your mind.
100%.
Yeah, so have a different perspective on it and not put so much pressure on yourself and be open-minded to meeting other people is kind of what you're saying.
Yeah, no, 100%. And
Just to have a different mind frame when you're going into the event.
100%. You can't put too much pressure on these events. These are not do or die types of an events. These are just like, okay, there's an event, let's go. And let's see, whatever happens. A lot of times guys, I don't know about girls, probably also, you meet your best friend there, honestly. Like, this is
Shlomi picked up a lot of guys.
Yeah, I did pick up a lot, yeah.
It's
So,
funny.
like,
I also met a couple girls that I'm still friends with from single events.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, 100%. And just getting back to my running events days, whenever, let's say you open registration 2 months in advance, you basically have like 50 girls sign up. Like that night, 2 guys would sign up. 1 would be Max. And
Okay.
Amen.
And then when the deadline happens, like that night, all of a sudden you get the majority of your guys to sign up. And the reason is because a lot of them think either A, as we said, I'm getting dates, or B, I'm going to be married by then. Like, why would I'm going to be engaged by then. Like, by the way, this is a real mindset.
It's unbelievable.
This is a real mindset.
100%.
Like, why do I need to
months?
sign up to this single Shabbaton if I'm like going out with somebody or I'm getting dates anyways?
Not okay, Shabbaton or event.
Or an event, whatever
Okay.
it is, I'm not going to commit. Oh, we can talk about men committing, but no,
That's
but
for a different episode.
That's for a different episode. But that's their honest answer that they're giving me, which is like, oh, I'm dating somebody, or I'm like, oh, I'm.
They view that as a
I'm not
nebuch.
going to be single then, or whatever. They're like that. That's what they're. Not everybody.
So
But
interesting.
as you were saying, they view it as like a nebuch thing. It's like only the nebuchs go. I'm like, you're an
Exactly.
idiot.
Really?
Yeah.
This is opening up a whole new world for me because I
100%.
didn't think that.
And then basically when they realized, like right before the deadline, like, oh yeah, I'm not engaged, or like, oh, maybe it's not as bad as I was thinking, or whatever.
Or it could be fun.
Or it could be fun. Then
Yeah.
they'll sign up.
Yeah, I think it's all down to
Interesting.
mindset. They view it as black and white. I'm going, for this is a business. This is a business thing, and I'm going straight for. They don't view it as if I gained, if I met someone new or I spoke to someone. They don't find value in that at all, and I feel like they're closing themselves off, and it makes their life worse. Meaning, in my opinion, the more people you speak to, the more people you meet. Number one, if you're only talking business, I still think it's very beneficial because you meet more people individually. People know you, and then they spread the word, etc. So you gain on that. And then on the other hand, what's wrong with meeting new people and just kind of expanding and essentially even, especially if you're more introverted before, this is kind of like practice.
Yeah, no, 100%. I really think the goal of going to any type of singles event is by maximizing the amount of interactions you can have with other people. Because I think the more connections you make, the better off you are, honestly. Like, whether it's dating, whether it's professionally, whether it's just personally, like, just having more connections is a huge benefit. So just getting out there and meeting new people, regardless of the outcome, is good for everybody.
Right. The only thing is, I'm just playing devil's advocate for a minute, is like if you have, like, everybody though is going to, has a potential to meet somebody there. Like, people have in the back of their mind, I could meet my person here. So if you're telling people not to take it so seriously, then the other half of the room may be taking it seriously. You know what I mean? Like,
So-
the other half of the room may be taking it very seriously and really want to, like, actually genuinely meet somebody and focus on a person. Whereas in other people in the room could, like, just be there, like you said, to network and to meet other friends or see if there is a potential, which I actually do agree with. But I feel like there can be a little bit of a disconnect. You know what I mean?
I understand what you're saying, but I don't think I'm necessarily saying, don't go in and don't take it seriously in the sense that like, oh, it's really not about finding somebody. Obviously, at the end of the day, it is a singles event. There are people of the opposite gender who are single.
So store that in the back of your mind.
Meaning this is a obviously huge benefit of being there, but in terms of mindset and the goal of you being there, is that if your only goal is I need to get a date out of this with somebody that like I'm very serious about, then I don't think that's necessarily a healthy mindset. But I'm not saying somebody who can go in there thinking like, so it could happen. It definitely could happen. But if it doesn't, it's not the end of the world.
Right. Okay. So for guys specifically, because you're a guy,
Last we checked, yeah.
how would you, or what are some tricks and tips that you have for somebody who is a little anxious, who kind of doesn't know how to navigate the single event? Sometimes they're really like intimidating. Like I went to a singles event and it was just one open room, like maybe 20 people, and just food on each side and a bar on each side. I walked right out. It was so intimidating. So I guess if you can just give some tips into navigating your anxiety through the events, because I know that you did have a lot of anxiety before and you overcame that.
Sure. And obviously the type of an event would matter a lot. Like if there's a certain activity that's being done, because they're so involved in the activity, they're able to sort of like focus a little bit more on that and feel a little bit less anxious. But just for the sake of this conversation, we're talking about a mixer event, where it's generally just like a blob of people, and there may or may not be food there, and you're basically the whole night is you just trying to mingle to people.
Yeah.
And for a lot of people, that's extremely intimidating.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. So what do you do? So there's obviously it takes time for somebody to go from, wow, this is intimidating, to, wow, this is such an opportunity. It definitely takes time. With me specifically, it took years, honestly. But I think somebody just getting into it, I think the most important thing going in is go with a friend. Number one, a lot of people go with their friends in general. Go with a friend who happens to be a little bit more outgoing, just so you feel like a little bit, you have like a safe zone. But I like to say you should go to the event a little early. I know this sounds like very counterintuitive for people because they feel like, what do I do? I don't know what I'm doing. But if an event starts, let's say at like 7, I would get there at 7:15. Like honestly.
Oh, so like on the earlier side.
Not
Number like
6:30. No, that's insane.
Well, I don't know. You said early, so I don't know.
Too yucky.
Don't get there before. Only if you're an organizer, you get there before.
Okay,
but
so get 15 minutes after the start time.
I would get there earlier, and one of the main reasons is, number one, there's not as many people there yet, so it actually doesn't feel as intimidating. But I would get acquainted with people like of the same gender first, meaning I like to call it making alliances. I think it's kind of a bad word. It kind of sounds like a war strategy, but make friends early on. And the reason is because let's say there's going to be like 100, 200 people there. So for somebody who's introverted, what that means is that they can't, they have a limited amount of energy to give to people. So to expect somebody to go around a whole room and sort of like work the room, they will just feel so exhausted that they literally won't even be able to have a conversation with people. So I think making those early friends earlier on, you have them meet people for you in the sense that like you ask them, hey, what are you looking for? And they'll tell you like, I'm here for this reason, I'm looking for this. Like, okay, I'll have, when I go around, I'll have you in mind. This is what I'm looking for. Like, would you have me in mind as well? And a lot of times guys in general like to congregate, like people who you meet earlier on, you kind of like make friends with earlier on. They kind of like to congregate every hour or so, like by the food. They just do that anyways because they get hungry. So if you see the same guy again, you'll be like, oh, how's it going? How's it going so far? And a lot of times they'll tell you, hey, I really like this girl. I know this about this girl or whatever. And And what you're doing is you're slowly building what I call ground intelligence. If you're going, let's say you're going after somebody specifically, like I want to go after somebody who's hypothetical modern Orthodox or modern Orthodox Muslim or this, that, whatever.
Yeah.
You're going to have like an army of people doing that for you, and they kind of report back.
Yep.
And you do the same thing for them.
You have to really trust this person, though.
Not necessarily.
No?
Not necessarily.
You're not giving him your social security number.
I know, but like,
You're not going.
what happens if he gets like stuck talking to a girl that he actually really likes and he can't like?
So that I don't want to cut you off.
No,
but
go for it.
I was gonna say I think that stems all from like the mindset. Like if he finds a girl, I
Yeah.
would feel very happy for him.
Oh, okay.
Why do I
Yeah.
care? I don't. I think if you only care about yourself, that's the problem.
No, but no. I from what I meant to say is like you're talking to these guys, or like let's say you're talking to two guys and you tell them like, okay, like once a lot of girls come here, like this is what I'm looking for, like we'll have you in mind. And then if one of them gets like really into a girl and then another one gets really into a girl, then kind of like your
Meaning the
strategy
you're saying the same
kind
girl?
No, a different girl.
Oh.
But like then your strategy is kind of like it. I don't know.
Well, that's why you talk to multiple people.
Oh, so talk to multiple people?
So, yeah, first of all, you're not just talking to one person, but I mean, your goal isn't necessarily, you're not going to get a date through him. At the end of the day, you're going to be speaking to her as well. Mm-hmm. It's mostly for people who cannot speak to everybody. They like more of the one-on-one. Mm. So as opposed to just thinking, I have to work this room and through the luck of God, like I'm going to find somebody that I'm interested in.
Yeah.
What you're doing here is that for somebody who doesn't have the capacity to do that, you have other people doing it for you. Mm. So they just pass along information so that when you feel the guts to go up to somebody, then at least your likelihood is a little bit better in terms of having a good conversation or speaking to somebody who you're interested in. So it's a way to sort of ease the burden on you to feel that pressure of like, who do I even talk to? Right. So in this way, you have a little bit more of an understanding of who to speak with first. Like this doesn't necessarily have to work with a guy that you just meet at the event. You can speak to the organizer. A lot of times the organizers know the people who are coming and they kind of have that information already. Technically shad khadim, but if they know the people, and obviously the third option is having a wingman, having a wingman or wingwoman, which I've done before for somebody. I know that they were looking for somebody who was more on the save the planet environment type of person. So how in the world are you gonna, so I was at the event, she comes up to me, she's like, there are no guys here, right? I'm like, there's like 100 guys here, right? She's like, there are no guys here. I'm like, okay, fine. So what do? I first said, I'm eating, I'm hungry. When I come back,
that's the right answer.
Yeah, I'll look for you. So I go up to a guy in a green shirt. I look for the guy in the green shirt because what I found last couple of years or so is that the guy wearing the green shirt is like, I guess psychologically, he doesn't realize, but he happens to be like the environment guy.
Do you know like every psychological study on like a dating event?
First of all,
he happens to be like right about this.
If you wear green, you're an environmentalist.
You're a very earthy outdoorsman type of person.
You think so?
Yeah, this obviously doesn't work at more yeshivish events because everybody's wearing a white shirt. So it happens to be, so I go up to this guy wearing the green shirt and, we get into this conversation and it turns out, I asked him like, so if you had a dream job, what would it be? And he's like, I'd love to be a park ranger. And I'm like, score. I'd like to introduce you to my friend. And that's exactly what happened. She ended up getting 3 dates out of it.
Nice.
Which was really awesome. Happened another year where not necessarily she got 3 dates, but so before an event, like I signed up to be a wingman at this event to help people. So I usually stand in the front by the ticketing. I was with you. So
I know what event you're talking about.
Exactly. Yeah. So I stand by the ticketing area because I like to ask. I just like having like short conversations with them. You can kind of like get little tidbits of information. So this guy had the green shirt, so I'm like, oh, classic green shirt guy. And it turns out he like knew everything about plants and trees.
That's
like literally to the bone. But it turns out he was like 10 years younger than her, so it really didn't work out. But the point is that you have somebody, you know, who's giving you who's passing along this information. This works for girls too. I mean, I'm sure they talk during an event.
I will say that like I was definitely the friend who was very anxious and like to themselves, and I would go with a couple friends who would be easily like able to work the room like easily, and they did if I was having like trouble, they were great. They really were.
Yeah, no, 100%. And you know, you feel a little bit better having those people around. But even more than that is that if you go into an event, you know, go in with like a goal in mind. If it's hard for you, I'm just going to talk to one person at this event. I can speak from experience. I went to an event, and you know, I knew that this event was way more modern than I was comfortable with.
Yeah. What was that again?
So I just went
event
thinking
was
like,
that?
I'm just going to get my reps in.
You know, it was a typical dating event in the Upper West Side where people can pay to go talk. Where people can pay to go talk to their friends only. No, I will not speak to anybody. How dare you ask me?
No ripping on them today.
Yeah.
My goal was just to talk to one person. I could care less if it was somebody for me or not. I knew going in nobody would be for me, but I just went. Turns out I just spoke to this one person for like 30 minutes. Wasn't interested at all, but I still wanted to speak with her.
Yeah.
Turns out Max ended up dating her for quite a while.
Okay.
Quite a while for me is like 3 days.
Yeah. More than a
Okay,
week.
so it worked out for Max.
Yeah, but that's how I sort of built my reps in. You go in to one event, you spoke to one person, and
So
then the next
like slow goals.
exactly
Incremental goals.
And I think though a lot of people feel nervous at these events. What people don't really realize is that everybody else is equally, if not more nervous than you are. And you think you're the
That's
only
true.
one. You're the
Right.
only
That's
one
true.
who's super nervous. I'm telling you, there are people way more nervous than you. The people who are way more nervous didn't even show up. So from the fact that you showed up is already indicating that like you're already less nervous than somebody else.
I'd say even me, who I feel like can work the room, I'm also nervous. I just don't show it.
Everybody has the butterflies.
Yeah, that's
And
true.
butterflies don't necessarily mean that you're nervous. It means you're also excited. It's partly excited, partly nervous. It's a little bit of both.
That is an emotion that makes me want to vomit.
Exactly. So when you go
That's
to the
great.
you can definitely vomit. Go for it. Just not on me.
No, I'm saying like being anxious and nervous or anxious and excited is like the worst combination for me. But I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly.
I do wanted to touch upon, I know that girls when they travel in packs, that also can be a little intimidating. And I didn't know if you had any guidance for guys who have a little bit of an issue trying to get the girl that they're really interested in alone without kind of coming off as not nice or coming off as like not coming off as like kind of a weirdo. Sometimes that there's like a borderline with that.
Yeah.
So just wondering if you have any advice for those types of guys.
Yeah, so they have no hope.
I would like
I'm just
to.
kidding.
I would like to say, like, I mean, in the Upper West Side, if you say hello, you're considered a weirdo. We're talking about all other places.
Yes. Okay.
All right, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
We're officially
I'm sorry.
we're
I speak
not.
the truth. I'm sorry. You know.
So anyways, so just to reiterate, your question is if a girl you're interested in is in a pack
Yeah.
Yeah.
with her friends,
Yes.
and you want to speak with her,
Yes.
then how do you speak with her and
Yeah.
get her one-on-one?
That's right.
essentially. So this is for somebody who feels very anxious at these events. I wouldn't try this at home.
Maybe this isn't your first goal.
This is not your
event.
first goal.
This is
I
your
feel
like
this
10th
move. This
event.
move should be patented.
So I think if you approach any type of group, first of all, humor gets you into anywhere.
If it's good
if it's
humor.
if it's a good joke, or if you say something light that you kind of like ease into it. You know, you can say rumor has it that this is the cool group or something like that.
Oh, that's
And
a nice line.
They kind of see if somebody chuckles or not, and that's you're in. And then they can say, no, this isn't a cool group. I'm like, great, because I'm pretty nerdy. And you're in. You're already in. Just like
You're
that.
in either way.
You're already in.
Yeah.
But I think instead of just going after the person that you're interested in, you have to engage the whole group, because if, first of all, you have to come in, the second they sense weakness, you're done. Because then you come off as the weirdo.
Right.
But if you come off as too confident, then you're cocky.
Yeah.
And then you're a jerk.
That's me.
So you have to have this equilibrium of, I'm pretty confident to walk up to them, but I'm not like a jerk and come off too cocky. So you have to have that equilibrium, and you really need some what do you call that?
Self-awareness.
Self-awareness, a little bit, how you come off. That takes time, but also before you even approach this group, you have to know the formation they're in. So
Formation, as in like a bird.
How they're even standing there.
Whoa.
How they're even standing there, and I'll explain. So if you're at an event where somebody's with their friends in a circular position, or if they're facing away from the people, that means they're not interested in
all of them.
All of them. They just want to talk to their friends, and they're basically showing you that they're closed off.
Okay.
Or if they're not facing.
Yeah, because they're not allowing anyone to enter.
But I'll tell you, I've been to a Frummer, let's call it one of the Frummer events.
Okay.
Just all the girls were just standing with their friends on the wall, at the wall. The guys were in the back. They weren't even in the room.
Number 3.
They were just hanging out by the food or whatever.
Okay.
So there were 3 girls there. I wanted to speak to one of them, but they were facing like the main area.
Okay.
And to me, this looked like, they're very much interested in somebody coming up to them. They're just so nervous,
right?
That they're just not doing that. They're just hanging out with their friends. So I approached the group.
Okay.
I approached the group, and I spoke with everybody. Again, engage everybody, ask where everybody's from or whatever, and you can tell right away that some of that, like one girl was physically shaking. She was physically shaking in how nervous she was.
Wow.
So she ended up just literally
leaving.
Oh
my
she
God.
just walked away.
She must be your cousin, Sarah.
When she walked away, her friend walked with her, and then lo and behold, the last person standing was the person I wanted to speak with.
So you intimidated the other 2 girls.
I didn't intimidate anybody. I realized that they for sure wanted to speak, but they're just hanging out with their friends because they're nervous.
Okay.
Do you think they just felt like, okay, you guys seem like you're more of a pair than us, so we're just gonna let you talk?
Not at all. We didn't even speak, basically. I mean, I was engaging the whole group.
Yeah.
And she actually, the person I wanted to speak with, spoke less than the other ones.
Yeah.
But the point was that, I guess whatever it was, she liked what I was saying, or I liked what she was saying.
So she had a choice to go off with her other friends or stay and talk with you, and she decided to stay and talk with you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But hypothetically, let's say that they're not nervous and they stick around.
Yeah.
They somehow like what you're saying.
Yeah.
So how do you get the girl you want one-on-one?
Yeah.
So you can sort of say that if that girl just had, let's say girl A, that's the girl you're interested in. Let's say girl A is talking about a certain topic, or you can say, wow, you have a lot to say on this. I'm really thirsty. I kind of want to get a drink. You want to come with me? And we can.
Okay.
What?
To me, it's just a little obvious, but I guess it's okay.
So
who cares if it's obvious?
Yeah, if
I
you're
guess.
a girl that wants that,
Yeah.
Meaning, how do you say, let's go and talk one-on-one without saying it? So you can say it. You have to use situational awareness in the sense that if there's a certain topic that you're talking about, you can say, that's unbelievable. I feel like there's so much to this story. I just really need to get a drink. Would you mind what's it called?
Coming with me?
I can come back, or would you come with me or whatever? So she has the choice. She can say no, not interested.
Right.
Which is a sign to you that okay, maybe she's not interested, and just don't pursue her anymore. But you're giving her the option to okay, if she wants to speak, then she can say yes, and if she does, you got her one-on-one.
Okay. There you go.
A lot of people think that you're gonna hit 100% of the time. Failure is all part of this.
Yeah.
Being smacked in the face.
I think
is
that's
part
what
of
the
it.
hardest part is people
Rejection.
go in being I don't want to be rejected.
Right.
And it's and that in itself just builds up so much.
When you say
tension.
rejected, you're talking about Both or guys? Because
Both, I
I feel like guys are the ones that are asking.
No, I think sometimes girls do ask guys out and they feel rejected, or they'll feel like nobody came up to them for whatever reason.
So that I get.
And they feel like, okay, am I not pretty enough? Am I not outgoing enough? Should I have made more of an effort? Like, what's wrong with me?
Right.
And me comes into the subject of like, there must be something wrong with me, because a lot of my friends got numbers. A lot of friends got guys coming up and talking with them. A lot of my friends got noticed, but what is wrong with me?
Right.
And I don't know, from the guy's perspective, it could also be
I mean,
more of a rejection thing. But like, girls feel rejected, but like in different ways. It's not just like, no, I don't want to go out with you.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I just getting to the rejection. I think Max, we can both talk to this. Like, rejection is part of it. I mean, from any date you go on or any event that you go to, like, there's gonna be somebody who says no to you.
Yep.
Like, so.
And that's I guess a lot of people don't have that in mind, that like this happens to other people. People say no to other people. It's not just me.
Yeah. So I think results is really, like, if you're only focused on results, especially for events, it's extremely hard to go to, because if you don't get digits and your friends are, it's like what you were saying, like, there must be something wrong with me. But I think if you go into the mindset and say, how many people did I talk to? Right. And, if your goal was, I want to talk to 5 people, and you hit that goal, then that's successful. Whether or not you get digits or not, that's just like an ancillary benefit. Mm-hmm. Like, not everybody meets at an event. But actually happens to be, even secularly, the majority of people meet through friends or family. That's how most people are matched up. So even if you go to an event and don't necessarily get somebody's digits like right away, if you go with a friend or whatever, you're expanding your group. So like, a lot of times, you can meet somebody and be like, they're not really for me, but like, I actually know a perfect person for that.
Right.
This stuff happens all the time. Mm-hmm. So whether or not you get a number directly makes no difference. The fact that you are out there is a huge success. Mm-hmm. And there are a lot of people who chose not to because they're too nervous or whatever. Wayne Gretzky, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Right.
So it's that the classic mindset going in. It doesn't matter what happens, but the fact that you took a shot was a big deal.
Right. So my last question for you is, if you don't know you don't know how to close the deal. You want to get this girl's number. You want to give her your number. You do want to meet her again. How do you close the deal at the single event?
How do you get her? You're saying like to propose to her?
Yes, exactly. At the singles event.
You gotta close the deal.
You have to.
All these girls want to get married?
There is no structure to these singles events. So like,
you want to ask her directly.
What?
Meaning, how do you ask her out?
Well, yeah. So it's towards the end of the single event. You've been talking to this girl. Like, how do you close the deal there? Like, how do you ask her for her number, or like kind of slide in that you want to hang out?
Like, how do you ask to speak to her shadchan or mother?
So there's 2 different types of people.
Well, because a lot of people don't know how to do it. You're like, I've been talking to this guy for 45 minutes, and like at the end of the event, he didn't even ask me out. You know?
I'm going to the bathroom. You want to come with me?
No. Oh my Lord.
So there's really, on the girl side, I feel like there's 2 types of girls. One who spoke to somebody and then is okay with you just walking away, and she could be really into you, and she's kind of wondering, hey, is he going to ask me out? And there's this other type of girl that, let's say you're having a full conversation with her, and then let's say they're like, we're having a speaker, everybody in. If she like follows you a little bit, this has happened.
It's happened?
Yeah, like, maybe to you, but whatever.
like she'll walk with you. You're like, yeah, she expects like a number or whatever without her actually saying it. So I think an easy approach is, how do you ask for a number without asking for her number? Because then I'll give you an example. You can say, let's say you're talking about a certain topic.
Yeah.
In my case, I don't know, I kind of talk about food a lot.
You don't say.
Yeah. So let's say you're talking to a girl, you realize that, let's say she's never been to your like favorite restaurant or whatever. You can say like, oh my God, you've never been? They have like the best fried chicken in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, would you ever try it?
Yeah, definitely.
Right? So
Let me speak to my mother first.
So she could be like, no, I'm gluten-free.
Or I'm a vegan.
Or I'm a vegan, right? And that's her way of saying, because a lot of times if you ask for a girl, a lot of guys I've seen literally going around the room asking for a number, and it's making girls really uncomfortable.
Yes.
So how do you do that?
I've actually have seen that happen.
Yeah, it happens, and I honestly cringe. So
Right.
how do you actually ask for a number legitimately? First of all, you can't ask for a number unless you've actually spent some time with them. You can't just go up to somebody and be like, "Hey, can I get your number?" That's
Hey,
like
you look
insane.
great. Can I get your number?
That's insane.
That's insane.
But
I'm not saying it has not happened.
if you legitimately had a good conversation and you feel the room that there's a chance here, so you can literally say like, "Oh my God, you've never tried X, Y, Z, or you've never done X, you never played billiards before." Like, "Oh my
Yeah.
God, would you ever do it?"
Yeah.
So let's say she wasn't interested in you. So she doesn't necessarily have to say, a lot of girls don't like rejecting guys in front of their face. It's very uncomfortable. So they can be like, "No, I'm not really a billiards person." Or you can say, like we said before, "I'm gluten-free. I don't really eat that."
So kind of read her response to you.
So she's not necessarily saying no to you. She's saying no to the activity, which in essence you should take as she's saying no to you.
Right.
Without actually saying it. So you're asking for a number without actually asking for a number, and she's saying no to you without actually saying no to you.
Yeah.
So it's an indirect question with an indirect response.
You're making it comfortable for everybody to say yes or no.
Right.
If she says, "Oh my God, yeah, I would love to try it," like, you're in.
Right.
Like, let's make it happen. But again, if she says no, then it's no, and you move on.
Yeah.
Okay.
I also find it like, even if I feel like, especially in Jewish dating, even if you don't ask her directly, you can always ask like the person in charge of the event, right? You can just
Sometimes
get her name.
it's hard to get in touch with them.
Really?
Sometimes I've been to events and I don't even know who the person is.
I always that's one of the first things I do. Actually, I make myself known to like the person. I don't know.
100. Yeah,
If you
I think that's
can.
the first thing you should do.
Yeah.
When you get to this event, is know who the organizer is, because they have
And become friendly,
inside
yeah.
intel, and they remember you.
That's
yeah.
true.
Anyway, I
All right.
do gotta run.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Lomi, for taking the time out of your busy schedule.
Oh my
Yeah.
God, loved being here. Would love to
So
continue
hard
the
to get in
conversation.
touch with you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
So we're so happy that you can make it here.
Yep.
Love
but
it.
thank you for your tips, and hopefully people actually find it. I think it's valuable
Yeah,
information.
100%. And if you have any feedback, please email us at GoodForShidduchim@gmail.com.
Yeah.
And if you have any further questions that we can ask Dr. Shlomi in the future, maybe, please send that to us as well. Also, if you're in Spotify, you can actually comment right under the episode section. So you can just leave your comment there, or just email us at GoodForShidduchim@gmail.com.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Until next time. And remember, everything will always be about Shidduchim. Catch you in the next episode.